Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Gracefully Authentic. And today we're actually doing a book review. I am going to be reviewing The 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. Own your morning, elevate your life. Okay guys, if I'm being completely honest, I did not enjoy this book. Okay. I did it, I listened to it on audio. And it's written in like a narrative style. And so we're introduced to the entrepreneur and the artist in the beginning. But the book is supposed to be centered around the entrepreneur, but I feel like it was an effort to like write a novel by it, but it wasn't enjoyable. It was tough to listen to. It's one of those things where if I was reading it, I probably would not have finished it. The benefit of audiobooks is because I'm already in the car or moving about, I will just continue to listen because unless I have something else lined up, I really don't have any other alternative. Um, Now, there was some interesting concepts in the book, but I just felt like it took too long to get to them. Early on in the book, he talks about the 20-20-20 formula. And we start hearing about that, pretty early in the book, maybe within the first hour or so of audio. And I think we're like 3 hours in or more before we even get to what that is. As a point of reference, we don't get to the 20-20-20 formula into page 206. Let me tell you how many pages are in here. Out of 314. So you're 2/3 of the way through the book before you get to what's essentially the main idea of the whole book. So that is the part I didn't like. When I'm going into some of these personal development books, I want to get some of the meat of the content, and I don't necessarily want to spend so much time. It's an 11-hour book. Why was this 11 hours? There's no reason this should have been 11 hours. There's been books that I've gotten for half that, which is I've gotten more out of in half the time. So based off of that is why I didn't like listening to the book. But the content that I got from the book was a little bit helpful. The first one being the habit installation protocol. And so this one is where it talks about 100. No, let's talk about 66 days is required for a human being to install a new habit, which I found interesting because I've always heard about the 21 days for new habits to form. But the 66 days actually makes more sense to me because 21 days is not really long enough to install a new habit. Like you get to 21 days and you're like, yes, I made it. So a lot of times you'll see like these 21-day challenges. And then at the end of the 21 days, you just go back to what you were doing. And so in this book, the habit installation protocol talks about the 3 phases of installing a new habit. And so if you can see that little chart there, this first phase is called destruction. The second phase is installation. Third phase is integration. And so each phase is 22 days and is a 66-day minimum for installing a new habit. Now, that resonated with me because if you've been watching my channel, you'll know that I'm currently in a 9-week fitness journey. And, I'm in week 7, about to start week 8. And I am feeling where now I'm at a point where some of the things that I've been doing are kind of ingrained in my schedule. I've made time to do them, and they're not going to be as easy to get pushed aside as they would have been in like weeks 1, 2, or 3. Now it's like they've become part of my schedule. They're a priority for me. And so, if something else comes up, I will definitely have to weigh the pros and cons of doing this other thing versus what I already have scheduled. And then also, additionally to that, if I have to choose that thing outside of what I have scheduled, I'm also now looking for ways to reschedule that activity, that workout, whatever it may be, so that I can continue to get it done. And so if that was happening week 1 and week 2, I'd just be like, oh, sorry, something came up. I can't work out today. I can't run today, or whatever the situation is. And now I'll see as I'm getting closer to the end of that 66 days. So for a 9-week challenge, that's 63 days. I'm seeing that those things are becoming less shakeable. So that's why I identified with this habit installation protocol. So that was pretty good. The 2020 formula, which I waited 6 hours or more to get to. Even they even joke about it in the book that people are like, "Are you ever going to tell us? You keep mentioning it, but you're not telling us." And so I guess it's supposed to be, comical or have you on the edge of your seat, tippy toes, bated breath, whatever you want to call it. But at the end, it just kind of got a little annoying. Like, okay, well, what is it? And of course, what it was so simple. So if you can see that, it is 2020 is pretty much your victory hour in the morning. So the book's called 5 a.m. Club. It's recommending that you wake up at 5 a.m. and that the first hour of your day is called your victory hour, and you do 3 things in sets of 20-minute intervals, 20, 20, 20. The first thing being activity, move your body. So that's any type of um, exercise, just get your body moving, kind of get your sweat up. I think it talks a little bit about like releasing cortisols and things of that nature. I don't remember the details because it was just so much extra words around the content that it was kind of hard to kind of keep up. But I got the gist of it. 20 minutes, move your body. Second 20 minutes, journal, meditate, reflect, any of those things. So just take some time. And all of this is obviously before you've done anything with your electronics. So it talks about getting like an old school alarm clock or putting your phone like across the room so that you're waking up and then without any type of digital interference, you're going through these 3 phases. So the meditate phase, you can do meditation, you can do journaling, just, working to, I guess, clear your mind before you kind of get your day started. And then the third set or interval is learning. And so that's like listening to podcasts, reading a book, um, taking on some type of educational videos, to learn something new. So that's just growth and development in that form. So I don't mind this formula at all. I feel like it's very simple a formula: 20-20-20, exercise, reflect, and grow. And so that's an awesome concept. One thing that you can keep in mind too, because I'm not a morning person, I am going to be challenging myself to get up earlier, but I don't think I need to get up at 5 a.m. because it's a victory hour. So essentially, it's just an hour before you would start your day. And give it an hour and 15 minutes, right? Because you'll probably need 15 minutes to get up, have your personal time in the morning, brushing your teeth, all of that stuff, maybe tea, water, coffee, something like that. Um, so maybe an hour, 15 minutes to an hour and a half waking up earlier, which means like if you wake up at 7, now you're talking about 6, 5:30, 5:45. If you wake up at 8, now it's 6:30, 6:45. If you wake up at 6, now you're 5 a.m.er. So it's like, yeah, they call it 5 a.m. club, but essentially it's an hour earlier, hour to an hour and a half earlier than what you're currently waking up. So for me this week, I'm going to be attempting 6 a.m. Because I usually get about 7:15, and I might end up having to push that a little earlier because I do notice when I get up at 7:15, I do feel a little bit rushed, and if I got up a little bit earlier, I would not have to rush as much. And so if I'm going to be getting up early anyway, maybe I'll add another 15 minutes on that so I also don't have to rush. So tomorrow is going to be my first day doing this new schedule, so I will let you know how it goes. What else? They talked about essentialness of sleep. I don't remember any of that. Have a good night's sleep, guys. Get some rest and let your body recover. That's pretty much maybe what they talked about there. It just wasn't memorable, but it's also basic. Get your hours of sleep that's required for your body. Then it talks about the 10 tactics of lifelong genius. So the next thing that bothered me is, so I told you we didn't get to the 20-20-20 formula until page 206 out of 314. And then I feel like we then tried to learn all of these concepts within the next 1 hour of audio, and so whereas we had 11 hours where we could have been learning all of this, we learned everything in like the last 2 to 3 hours. So it was like a lot of time spent getting here and then having to like rush through to the end. So that was another thing that I feel like I didn't really have a lot of time to digest, because as we were done with one thing, we were kind of on to the next. So the lifelong genius is 10 tactics. I cannot tell you from the top of my head any of the 10. So I will revisit that and take some notes, because I do want to get a concept of what the 10 are and which ones I can apply. But essentially, it looks like that. 10 Tactics of Lifelong Genius. And I'll just read them to you. It is, let me see, number 1, the tight bubble of total focus. So essentially, focus on one thing at a time. 2 is the 90-91 rule, which I believe, if I remember correctly, it was like spend the first 90 minutes of your day doing like the most important thing. And then I don't remember what the other 90 and the 1 is. So I have to revisit that. It was the 60-10 method. That was number 3. Number 4 is the daily 5 concept. Number 5 is the second wind workout. Number 6 is the 2 massage protocol. Number 7, traffic university. Number 8, the dream team technique. Number 9, the weekly design system. And number 10, the 60-minute student. So I will see if I can just go through some of these really quickly. Yes. So the 90-91 rule is, for the next 90 days, schedule yourself to invest the first 90 minutes of your workday on the one activity that, when completed at world class, will cause you to own your field. So 90 days, 90 minutes, first 90 minutes of the day, focus on the one thing. The 60-10 method is work at your best for 60 minutes straight, and then do, which is going to be in your tight bubble of total focus, and then 10-minute rest, and then repeat that. So that's essentially like a Pomodoro. So you set your timer, you have your work period, you have your rest period. This is recommended 60 minutes and 10 minutes, but I know people who do like 45 and 15, who do 50 and 10, who do 55 and 5. So whatever kind of works for you. Some people need to go shorter time periods than that. So maybe like a 30 minutes or 25 minutes with a 5-minute. But essentially, it's the Pomodoro technique. Set some focus time and then rest, and then go back into a next set of focus. The daily 5 concept is list your 5 tiny targets you wish to accomplish over the day ahead for you to feel it was well spent. So they're suggesting that during your reflection time and your victory hour, your second 20-minute block, that you go ahead and write down your top 5 for the day. Second wind workout is, see if you can get another workout in some other time in the day outside of your 20 minutes in the morning. The 2 massage protocol. This one actually talks about a 2 90-minute massage on your weekly schedule. And so that brings me to another point that I wasn't a fan of for this book. This book takes place. So I mentioned the entrepreneur and the artist. The entrepreneur and the artist meet a billionaire at a seminar, and then the billionaire invites them to his personal compound in order to teach them the rules of the 5 a.m. club. So throughout the book, they're traveling with this billionaire to the islands of Mauritius, South Africa, Italy, and India. So to me, I wasn't a fan of the book because I kind of wish that it was set more in a like place where everyday people could see how they could implement it in their lives. So essentially, if I'm on a vacation, could I wake up at 5 a.m., do these things for an hour, go enjoy the day, and then, do it again tomorrow? To me, it's a little bit easier because you don't have all of the real life things that are pulling and tugging at you that you have to navigate. So, yeah, if I'm away and I don't have, to cook dinner or take someone to soccer practice or, go to the post office, you know what I'm saying? It didn't give a lot of like I would consider real world, everyday people examples and what it looks like implementing this into the day. So essentially, now you have to go in, dig in, pull out the meat of what's here, and then see how you can implement it into your everyday lives. So to me, it just wasn't as relatable. And now, I mean, I've made a great list of places I want to visit. I want to go see the Taj Mahal. I want to go to Mauritius now, but it didn't give me I guess like much encouragement that this was going to be something that I can implement with not a lot of difficulty. So that is hit or miss. And then this, like this 2 90-minute massages per week, it just doesn't seem like it's taking into consideration everyday people. You know what I'm saying? And so I get it. If I can get to a level of billionaire status, millionaire status, if I can get to a level where I'm, excelling in my field and I'm making my own time, then I can layer in some of these things. But until I get there, that this one just was didn't seem implementable to me. Maybe once a month. But now we're talking about twice a week. But I think what they say here is that massage therapy generates significant improvements in brain performance. Excuse me. So essentially, it's saying the massage is going to help you be more uh, at your peak brain activity. Okay, number 7 is Traffic University. So this one I identify with essentially utilize your commute to learn new things, podcasts, audiobooks, etc. The dream team technique is delegate task. And then delegate tasks that are not only a poor use of your time, but also diminish your happiness. So, what things can you get off your plate and have someone else do for you? So, that'll be how you implement your dream team. The weekly design system is number 9. It says carve out and ritualize 30 minutes early each Sunday morning to create your blueprint for a beautiful week. I like that. I wouldn't lock myself into Sunday because it really just depends on how your week goes. You might want to start planning early and things like that. But I appreciate kind of giving myself a plan to do the week. One of the things I mentioned in one of my fitness journey videos is having a plan is essentially key to be successful with what you're trying to accomplish that week, because without a plan it's so easy to get derailed from what things you need to do. So I like that one. That one was the weekly design system. Number 10 is the 60-minute student, and so that's for at least 60 minutes a day study. So do whatever it takes to fireproof your commitment to relentless growth. So that one's interesting. I'm assuming that 20 minutes of learning during your victory hour contributes to that 60 minutes. Also, if you're doing some of that commuting learning, that will contribute to your 60 minutes. So that's almost a redundant task from some of the other tasks, but the other tasks might not necessarily equal 60 minutes. So this one is just letting you know, hey, after you've done all of that, if you haven't hit 60 minutes yet, continue. And it's interesting because finding the time is the key. And so you really have to look at how you kind of stack some of your activities, right? During your workout, can you listen to the audiobook or podcast? That might be a good way where if you don't have an hour for working out and an hour to listen, you double that up. So you just have to be creative with achieving some of those things. And the last thing is the twin cycles of elite performance. And that one essentially talks about having pretty much a high excellence cycle and then a deep refueling cycle. And so this one I like too because your refueling your body is just as important in order to continue with peak performance. So it looks like this. Okay. And it's the protection of the 5 assets of genius. So mental focus, physical energy, personal willpower, original talent, and daily time. And so you'll work hard for a little bit and then you'll have to deeply refuel. And I can't remember what the recommendation here was for it, but I think he mentioned, going to his private island once or twice a year and things like that. So obviously you'll have to figure out what refueling looks like for you. But definitely it's one of those things where if you think about an elite performer, they're gonna play hard, but then they're gonna go and like have their ice bath, right? That's how they refuel. So something like that. This says take at least 2 full days off each week. No technology, 0 device days. So, we'll have to figure that out for yourself. And so there was some other little tidbits in here that weren't terrible, but I just feel like it was kind of hard to, you know, they say like take the meat and leave the bones. I feel like there were a lot of bones, and then the meat was really intricately woven within them. And so it was just a little bit of a, I don't know. I don't even know the words to put it. I will take some stuff. I'll take the meat and I will implement the meat, but it was really kind of tough to get through. So hopefully that review kind of give you the meat that you need from the book. If not, go grab it or listen to it. I got this from my library. I listened to it audio from the Libby app, also through my library. So I'm grateful for that. And I would recommend, if you want more details on what I shared, feel free to go grab it. But other than that, I think you can take this 2020 formula, start there, and grow from that. Anyway, if you read this book and you had a different opinion, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are about it. Did you really enjoy this narrative that was shared? I just felt it, as someone who reads a lot of like fiction fantasy for fun, world building, character building, storytelling is big in that genre, and this was nowhere near that. So I just felt like it it tried to be something that it wasn't. But outside of that, I enjoyed the nuggets that I got from it. I will be implementing those, and I'll see you back here next time for another book review. Have a great one. Bye.